Johns Crek keeps ranking as one of the best places to live in the country, and at this point, it's not even that surprising anymore. What matters is why. Because Johns Crek is basically a near-perfect suburb for buyers who want schools, safety, and stability, and a kind of forgettable one for people who want maybe some character, some energy, and a real downtown hangout spot. That's the split, and once you understand that split, Johns Crek gets a whole lot easier to evaluate. Johns Crek keeps showing up near the top across multiple national and regional rankings, which tells you there's a real pattern here. So today, I want to break down what Johns Crek actually is, why it keeps ranking so high, what you're really paying for here, and why the same things that make people love it are also the exact reasons that some buyers should look elsewhere. My name is Joe. I'm a local realtor here in Metro Atlanta, and I help people relocate here all the time. Let's get into it. If you're just starting your Atlanta suburb search, here's the quick version. Johns Crek sits on the northeast side of Metro Atlanta, kind of in between Alpharetta and Duluth, Peachtree Corners, and the broader 400 and I-85 corridors. And unlike some of the older suburbs around Atlanta that grew up around, a historic downtown, Johns Crek is much more of a pre-planned, residential, almost manufactured professional suburb. A lot of its identity traces back to Technology Park and that whole job corridor that helped pull families and professionals into this area over time with all of those jobs. That matters because Johns Crek doesn't feel random. It feels intentional. It feels like a suburb built for people who want the strong schools, the neighborhoods, and that day-to-day life that feels stable and a little bit put together. And that is a huge part of both its strength and its weakness. Now, let's talk about why that formula keeps getting rewarded. Johns Crek keeps ranking so high because it solves a lot of suburban problems all at once. Great schools, low crime, strong professional job access, high quality neighborhoods, good parks and recreation, and a day-to-day lifestyle that feels easy, stable, and very under control. That's basically the formula these rankings are rewarding, and it's also why the pattern keeps repeating. A lot of suburbs do one or two of those things really well. Johns Crek does almost all of them well at the same time. That's the story. It is not the most exciting suburb in Metro Atlanta. It's not the most urban. It's not the cheapest. But if what you want is one of the strongest all-around suburban packages in the Metro, Johns Crek has a very serious argument. And for a lot of buyers, the first place that strength shows up is the schools. Now, schools are one of the biggest reasons families target Johns Crek so specifically, and this is one of those areas where the reputation is real. Johns Crek is in the Fulton County district, and especially up in North Fulton, that school conversation is a major strength. Depending on where you live, you're looking at options like Johns Crek High, Northview, Chattahoochee, and in some pockets, Alpharetta High. And the big takeaway is that they all are going to rank highly on niche.com. You're getting, generally an A+ type rating, and on great schools, you're getting like a 9 or a 10 out of 10 range. That matters for more than just buyers with kids in school right now, because strong school reputation does two things. It attracts families and it supports long-term housing demand. And I hear it all the time. We don't have kids, so the school district doesn't matter. Well, it's going to matter to whoever you try and sell it to later, so I would put at least a little bit of thought into it right now. But schools are only part of the demand story. Okay. The next big piece is jobs. Johns Crek works really well for professionals, and honestly, that has been baked into the area for a long time between Technology Park, Alpharetta, Duluth, Peachtree Corners, and the surrounding professional quarters. This is a suburb that makes a lot of sense for people in tech, healthcare, finance, engineering, and really lots of other career opportunities. That helps explain a lot. It helps explain why incomes are so high. It helps explain why people are willing to pay more to live here. And it helps explain why Johns Crek feels the way that it does. This is not really a random mix of everything. It is a very polished, high-functioning suburb for people who want stability, access, and a strong daily setup. Now, let's talk about what that actually looks like in your day-to-day life. This is where Johns Crek either really clicks for people or really doesn't. Johns Crek feels polished, planned, and easy. The roads are well kept. The neighborhoods are super quiet, and a lot of the communities are swim, tennis, golf, and amenity driven. And the city has spent years investing in the parks, the trails, the recreation, and the quality of life infrastructure, which means daily life tends to feel smooth and family friendly instead of, kind of more chaotic and a little scrappy. This is a suburb where normal mundane life is a big part of the appeal. Good parks, sports fields, dog-friendly spaces, Chattahoochee River, and a whole lot of that, swim, tennis, golf, neighborhood rhythm. A lot of people love Johns Crek because it makes ordinary life feel easier. And that sounds boring until you've got kids and a commute and a job and a lot to juggle. Then it starts sounding pretty awesome. But that kind of lifestyle comes with a price. Now, here's where Johns Crek gets a little bit more polarizing. It's not cheap. Johns Crek's median home price is around $870,000 compared to Alpharetta around $690,000, Cumming around $600,000, and Duluth around $460,000. So yes, Johns Crek is expensive, but the more useful takeaway is that it's expensive in a very specific way. You're not paying for nightlife. You're not paying for a great downtown. You're not paying for urban energy. You're paying for school reputation, neighborhood quality, professional convenience, low crime, and a very stable suburban product. And when you look at demand, that story holds up. Right now, you've got about 95 homes for sale in Johns Crek compared to 517 in Alpharetta, 900 in Cumming, and 208 in Duluth. And the median days on market is 5 days in Johns Crek compared to 16, 29, and 20, respectively. That tells you two things. First, buyers are still targeting Johns Crek very intentionally. Second, this is a more tighter and more competitive market than a lot of the nearby suburbs. So no, it's not a bargain, but it's also not expensive for no reason. That's the trade-off. If you're still trying to figure out whether Johns Crek actually fits your budget and lifestyle, reach out anytime. I help people relocate to Metro Atlanta all the time, and I'd be happy to help you compare Johns Crek to places like Alpharetta, Cumming, Duluth, or really anywhere else that you're considering. All my content info is on the screen and in the description. Now, here's the part where Johns Crek gets a little bit more complicated. Johns Crek has historically lacked a true downtown or city center. That has been one of the clearest weaknesses for years, especially when you compare it to places like Alpharetta, Roswell, Marietta, even Duluth, really. That place has got a great downtown. Those places have a much stronger central gathering place, more built-in social energy, and more of kind of a destination feel. Johns Crek has traditionally been much more neighborhood-based or kind of, business corridor-based. Now, that is changing. The city has approved town center plans, including Medley and Creekside Park, and those projects are clearly trying to address that gap by creating more of a real hub for gathering, dining, retail, residencies, and that community life. And that matters because it tells you Johns Crek knows this has been one of its weak spots. But I think the honest answer is still this. That helps the future story more than it changes the current reality. So if you want an already established downtown nightlife, maybe some walkable buzz area, Johns Crek is still probably going to feel a little too controlled and a little too buttoned up for you. And for some buyers, this is the biggest trade-off. Now, let's talk about the reasons Johns Crek keeps getting so much trust from buyers. Safety is a major part of Johns Crek's appeal, and this is one of those areas where the numbers help support the reputation. According to NeighborhoodScout.com, Johns Crek has an overall crime rate of about 6 per 1,000 residents, and your chance of becoming a victim of crime there is about 1 in 166. That gives Johns Crek a lower crime rate than about 60% of communities in Georgia, which helps explain why it keeps getting cited as one of the safer places to live. Now, that does not mean every pocket feels exactly the same, but when you combine those numbers with the schools, the neighborhood quality, and the overall suburban setup, it's a lot easier to understand why so many families feel comfortable targeting Johns Crek in the first place. So, when you put all this together, what are you really choosing? You are choosing one of the strongest all-around suburban packages in Metro Atlanta. Top-tier school reputation, strong professional buyer appeal, relatively low crime, stable, well-kept neighborhoods, and a day-to-day lifestyle that feels organized and easy. But you are not choosing a lively downtown scene, nightlife, walkability, or a place with a lot of spontaneity. That is the split, and once you understand that split, Johns Crek gets a lot easier to evaluate. Johns Crek is a great fit for families who care a lot about schools, professionals who want a strong suburban setup, and buyers who like the idea of living in a place that feels polished, predictable, and highly functional. It also makes a lot of sense for people who want access to Alpharetta, Duluth, Peachtree Corners, and that broader north side job corridor without living in a suburb that feels maybe as busy or as built up as some of those other neighboring areas that I was talking about. If you want character, nightlife, walkability, a real downtown, or the lowest possible price point, I would probably point you somewhere else first. That's not a knock on Johns Crek necessarily, it just means Johns Crek is one of the best versions of a very specific kind of suburb. If Johns Crek sounds right for you, or you're trying to figure out which suburb around Metro Atlanta actually fits you best, reach out anytime. I help people relocate here all the time, and I'd be happy to help you narrow it down. And if you're still in research mode, just keep watching some more of these videos. I'll see you in the next one. Okay, let me get out of here before I get arrested.